Well,
Yeah.
welcome everyone. Welcome to Free Hands Friday, number 38. I'm Dale Lasser, and I am hosting. Rob Stafarian is admitting, and we are joined by the very, very lovely and talented, I may say, first couple of stick, but it might be just one of the first couples of the stick, Luke and Jen Bergeron. Welcome to Free Hands Friday.
Thank you very much. We're so happy to be here. We're
So,
happy to be here finally.
we had a few admin issues, but I think we have been triumphant. We are joined by a bunch of stick players from all over the North American continent, and who knows, we may luck out with some overseas. But it is lovely to see you both. The first time that I met you was at the Free Hands Academy, or pardon me, the Free Hands 40th anniversary of the invention of the stick in Bel Air, California, this August. Tell me, how did you come to be there? First Luke and then Jen.
Okay. Well, I ended up joining Stickist a while before I actually got my first instrument. And that was a used one. So I knew that Freehand Academy had existed for some time. And I knew that there were different events that were going on. I thought, oh boy, wouldn't it be nice to go to one of those one of these days? And then earlier this year, there was a fantastic seminar hosted in April. Brett Bottomley hosted the Northeast Stick Seminar, and that was an incredible, great time. Everybody was just absolutely wonderful. The faculty was great. I came away just all kinds of inspired, and the best part about it was being so recharged and able to move forward in my playing from that point. So when the announcements came about the one out in California, I thought, man, that would be so cool. That would be awesome. But there's no way Jen would ever agree to go to a stick seminar with me. The poor thing, she'll be bored out of her mind. And lo and behold, she said, no, we're going. So we decided to make it a kind of like a half vacation, half stick educational event, and there it was. It was awesome.
And I just,
It was awesome. Sorry, Jen, go ahead.
I just wanted to go along to California because I've never been, and thought it was pretty exciting. I was planning on just doing day trips and stuff like that while Luke was in class, and we were just going to go on vacation. So yeah, that was.
And
So
then all of a sudden you found yourself carrying or wearing a stick that looked remarkably good on you. So tell us about that, and tell us what happened after that.
so so yeah, I didn't really think I'd ever want to play the stick. I didn't think any women played sticks actually. It was really a very much a guy thing. The stick just seems like a guy thing. And then I saw you, Dale, and Robin, and I think Dina or Diana. It was
Yeah.
a couple women, so that was interesting. And I still didn't think I wanted to play it, but then the concert on Saturday.
Yeah.
There was the concert on Saturday, and I just watched you play, and I've never seen anybody play like that before. It was very feminine and just very beautiful. You were singing, and I'd never heard anyone really sing like that and play at the same time, and it just was wow. And I said, I could do that. I could do that. That looks like fun. That looks like something I want to do. So then I mentioned it to you the next day, and I thought you'd say, yeah, okay, whatever. But you really said that maybe I could do it. So yeah. And then I told Luke, and he didn't let me forget that, and keeps.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the funny thing that night when we got back to the room, everything was just winding down. It was that the concert was over, and all of a sudden Jen came out with, "So what would you think if I told you that I might want to learn how to play the stick. And I just went, oh yeah. It was fantastic. So many things popped into my head all at once, but the biggest part of it was how ungodly cool is this? This is another thing. You have to understand that Jen and I are one of the most sickening couples on planet Earth, because
Awesome.
we're just all like gooey stupid over each other.
Well, we do
And
things together. We do everything together.
yeah, and so this would be yet another thing that we could do together, and it made me all kinds of happy.
Awesome, awesome. So, both of you actually, I was reading sort of your quasi bio that you'd sent in, and both of you came from quite musical backgrounds. You were, Luke, born into quite a musical family, but it seems like your background is very percussive, like a lot of drums in your background. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Playing drums was something that I kind of felt, geez, from the time I was 6 years old, really. Um, the, uh, the family is loaded, like you said, the family is loaded with musicians. My mother is a really, really good piano player and a great sight reader. Her brother, a piano player. Everyone in her family sang. My dad was a great baritone, and he had three other brothers, and they were a barbershop quartet. He played chromatic harmonica, and we just always had music all the time, going all the time in the household. We were very, very Brady Bunch-esque in that, we would be the family that literally still did sit around the piano, and my mom would play and the rest of us would sing, and that's
No,
how
no, wait a minute, wait a minute. Isn't that Partridge Family?
it could be either.
Yeah, I
It
think
could
it's
be
more
either
Patrick
or.
Bateman.
But yeah. Well, you remember the trips the Brady Bunch would take in their wagon, and they'd be all singing songs with each other. Oh my God, that was us. Yeah, yeah. So, you know, it was always around us, and I had or have three sisters, and all of them played piano, to varying degrees of seriousness. And my brother is a self-taught bass player, but in the last several years he's been a member of a very serious vocal chorale. Um, and for whatever reason, when I was 6 or 7, I felt drums, and I heard the song, the 45 of Fox on the Run by the band Sweet, and that's the one that I first ever mimed or banged on a pot and played along to, and it was all over after that.
Cool. And you, Jen, you learned clarinet from your grandfather, is that right? Or took piano from your grandfather?
Yes. Yep. I took piano lessons from my grandfather. He was a great jazz pianist, and so that was a lot of fun. I don't think I was that serious about it. It was fun. I was in talent shows and stuff like that, but played piano for a while, and then I played clarinet in the band, and that was from 5th grade to 11th grade. Did the concert and the marching band. So that was my extent of my music, and then I haven't played anything for a long time. We have a piano, but I just haven't really had a chance to play it.
Right.
So,
And
yeah.
what was the first concert that you remember seeing?
Me, my
Yeah.
first concert was Billy Joel with my mother, but my first concert without my mother was Aerosmith, Permanent Vacation.
Excellent. And you, Luke?
Aside from like local concerts, where we'd see the odd big band here and there, my first rock show, that was my big brother took me to see the Police on
Oh,
the Ghost in the Machine tour. Um, and I was like, 13 or 14 years old. I wish I had understood what I was seeing, because the opener for them was Black Uhuru, and they were, upper top echelon reggae band, and I
yeah.
really wish I had known what I was witnessing. I mean, there was Sly Dunbar and Robbie Shakespeare playing in the band at that point, and they really were excellent. But the Police were outstanding too. That was a great show.
Very cool. Very cool. So the first band you had in high school was called Symmetry. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, that's right.
That's a
And
pretty cool name for a first band. I mean, my band's first name is the Limping Fish.
yeah, but yours is more entertaining. Mine sounds like a draftsman founded the band. You know?
It's very proggy. Was it a proggish kind of band?
No, it was like a mix between Journey and Night Ranger and Rush. You know, it was kind of that sort of blend. The whole reason the name came about is that a friend of ours was taking some photographs of us, and he was a hobbyist. And every time we would line up for a picture, we would always set ourselves up in a very regular way. And he said, well, you know, guys, let's try something different. We don't want you in symmetry all the time. And we had been struggling with a name, so we said, oh, that sounds good. And we ended up using that. And so,
Jen, I'm sorry, go ahead.
well, that was the band that, you know, there were originally 6 of us, and then when we got out of high school, we were pared down to 4. But the 4 most, you know, serious of us were left. And, you know, I'll let Jen answer her question next, but that was when we decided to get serious about it and try to take it further from there.
Were you playing drums?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
And so you were doing Rush?
Yeah, yes. Well, I mean, I grew up, you know, the first drummer I ever really listened to seriously was Ringo Starr. And my first real heavy, formative music listening was Beatles and Lennon and McCartney solo material. So that was for the first, you know, couple of years. And then in high school, there was a friend that introduced me to prog and introduced me to Rush's Exit Stage Left album, and then it was it was all over after that, of course.
Yeah.
And I got Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and Yes. And so that was the stuff that, you know, when I was in high school and trying to learn how to play, I was never a really serious student. So I took a few lessons, you know, here and there, but mostly I would slap on the vinyl and play along with headphones and try to figure things out from there.
Nice, nice. So Jen, have you been on stage in any capacity?
No.
No, not yet.
You know, I'll sometimes run up there and, you know, play the tambourine or something, but no. I've been in talent shows, playing the piano in talent shows when I was in elementary school. So that was, yeah, the only.
All right. So are you guys jamming? Like, what's going on? Like, how, Jen, you have a stick now, is that right?
I don't have it yet. I've ordered it.
Okay. What did you order?
I ordered a 10-string maple with a stick up and turquoise inlays.
Yeah, linear.
Linear inlays, yes.
Sweet. So it's a standard, 4ths and 5ths? Good, good. And what made you get the stick-ups?
Luke?
Well, that was Emmett's suggestion because at the time we were talking about trying to keep the weight of the instrument under control. So he said, well, the stick-up's going to be the lightest of the 3 modules. And
right.
I'm a little nervous about the weight of it, you know, how it's going to feel. It's kind of weird to make such an investment and not have tried it out. I mean, I held your stick, and I held Luke's stick. It wasn't my first stick, but
no. Tell everybody who your first stick was, honey.
Steve Adelson is the first stick I had.
Oh,
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand that. I understand from what you sent me that Sonic Imagination is your work music.
Well, I like to listen to that. I am. I like when I'm working. I'm a market research manager. Do a lot of data analysis, so that music I just, you know, can listen to and be very productive.
Nice, nice. So, when you get your stick finally, like when is it due to arrive? When is the stork going to bring your stick?
We were thinking in February, but you were thinking maybe earlier?
Well, it depends.
February,
I mean,
March?
Yeah, the original timetable was end of February or beginning of March. But then somebody posted on Stickus that he had put in his deposit and put in his order in around the same time that we did, and then he just got the email saying his was done and going to be ready to ship. So
Wow.
so it could be any time between now and February, essentially.
Very exciting. So Jen, what are you thinking that you are going to investigate it on your own for a while? Are you going to jam with the guy to your left here? Initially, like how are you? Do you have any kind of preset battle plan for tackling the instrument?
I think I want to, like I said, I'm wondering how it's going to feel. So I think I'm going to want to, knowing how I've played other instruments, I'm going to want to practice for a while, like do scales and just like get myself familiar with the instrument. Then I'll probably do. Luke will give me some pointers, I'm sure, but I am going to want to take some lessons and. But I feel like I should know a little bit before I take lessons. Like I shouldn't just take lessons right away. And
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And sorry?
Well, I was going to say, and we talked about this, and it's, the one thing I want to make sure that she's always going to be 100% comfortable with whatever she's doing. And my advice to people, based on my experience, I waited 9 months before I got together with Greg for my first lesson, and my feeling after that was, oh, geez, what, where could I have been had I done this a little sooner? But then again, at the same time, that was my path, and it's not necessarily anybody else's. So, I just want to make sure that nothing ever gets kind of, forced on Jen. She's got to be comfortable, and that's what it boils down to.
Sure. And I always suggest when you're learning, taking up a new instrument, it's always good to pepper the dry scale practicing and stuff with fun stuff like just creative writing, starting a bass line and then noodling on your melody side, just kind of freeform. There's a lot of really exciting discovery that can happen. Also, learning. Favorite tunes. I find reggae is a really wonderful starting place for learning bass lines. Often they can be repetitive, but they're often syncopated, especially if they're one drop. And the chanky guitar on the melody side and the do 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 kind of bass line can really you could learn songs quite quickly. And that always keeps it interesting if you pepper your dry learning with some fun stuff. Keeps it going. It keeps you motivated, I find.
Cool.
I think we have a lot of wonderful stick players here. We can open the floor up if you want to unmute your mics, everyone. Why don't we start with the lovely and talented Dean Pascarella from Long Island, New York. Dean, lovely to see you, my friend.
Hi, how are you?
Grand. Season's greetings. Do you have a question for Jen and or Luke?
Give me a minute to think. I do, but I'd like someone else to go first. I just need a minute. I came in late, and I don't want to ask a question that maybe has already been spoken about. So,
okay.
let someone go, and I'll jump back in, okay?
Okay, Andy, you're up, my friend.
Question for
Andy
Luke.
has to,
Question for Luke or Jen. Jen, you mentioned you ordered the maple for weight. Was much consideration given to ash, given how light my stick is?
I like the look of the maple better than the ash.
Okay.
That's really what I went with there. I was thinking there wasn't much of a difference between the woods.
I can respect that. I do like maple a lot, but I have a soft spot for ash.
Yeah, I think what it came down to as well is that there's just a really smooth, kind of a more subtle aesthetic to the grain in the maple.
Mm-hmm.
And it's much, obviously the grain in the ash is very much very more pronounced and a little more aggressive looking. And I think just the visual of the smoother, cleaner, very nice kind of creamy white look was, just a little more appealing.
All right.
All right. Okay, now Rob Stafarian. Rob, you are admitting. I'm just wondering if it would make your head implode if you actually asked a question of these two lovely stickists.
I might be able to handle it. No coffee, no breakfast even, so bear with me. I wanted to ask Jen, with regard to your weight concerns, I was very wary of weight myself. Are you more concerned with balance, or where does that come from?
Yeah, I think it's just I want to be able to hold it. I'm not sure if I'm going to play standing up or sitting down or what, but yeah, I want it to be comfortable and not be something that's kind of
Too bulky.
yeah.
Well,
So-
I'll be,
Since the weight is held around your waist area, I find that it's no matter what kind of stick I'm wearing, it doesn't really bother me that much. It's not like it's leaning on your shoulder, on your trapezoid or anything like that. Is that your trapezoid? Is your traps? Is that right?
Yeah.
trapezius, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I knew it was something, something.
Trapezius.
Maybe one of the things that might be useful to note is that and I've mentioned this before on the stickers thread where we talked about this. The standard bevel on the back of a stick is 45 degrees on either side, and several months ago I had asked Emmett if there were any possibility of creating a wooden stick with the body profile of a railboard, and my guess was that it wouldn't be possible. And he said, "Yeah, you're right, because there'd be just too much material gone." And in the course of the conversation, he said, "If you want to have something thinner, then we could take whatever wooden stick you want and bevel it so that the bevels are at more of a 30-degree angle as opposed to a 45-degree angle. So you get more of a triangular shape as opposed to a trapezoidal shape. So there'll be a little less wood on there, and there'll be a little less gap for the thumb and the fingers to have to deal with." And so I thought that maybe that'd be something that would be good for Jen's instrument. She said, "Yeah, let's go for it."
Now, are you talking about the way it's played? The angle of the way it's played, like you said, 45-degree angle?
No, the angle of the bevel on the back of the instrument.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, fascinating. And of course, you have a rail board now, don't you?
I do indeed. Yeah.
And that's an incredibly thin instrument. Do you find any difference in the way you play your wooden one from your rail board?
What I found was that there was quite a bit of thumb fatigue that I used to get while trying to work with the old ironwood that I had. And when I ended up playing the railboard, when I finally got that, a lot of that fatigue just kind of went away, like really quickly. It was almost instantaneous. As my hands are getting used to certain things, and I've been practicing not like a madman, but certainly a whole lot more than I typically have been able to, because I'm trying to get ready for playing tunes at Christmas time for my family. So there's some soreness, but that's just my muscles are getting used to playing more than they have been asked to for a while. But
Right.
there was a lot of stuff in here that I was having problems with the ironwood, and that kind of went away when I got the railboard. So that was very, very cool. And because the string caps are wider on that, of course, so I felt a little less clumsy and a little less ham-fisted on it, because I don't have the most graceful mitts in the world. So it was certainly a lot more comfortable just from a width perspective too.
Right. I would stop, speaking as a Canadian, I would stop playing with mitts on.
I hadn't thought of that. Thank you.
So I'm wondering if Marty has a question for you two lovely stick players.
Yeah, I particularly wanted to ask Luke about coming from the drums to stick. In what ways did you find the drums prepared you for the stick, or helped you with some of the challenges that maybe some of the guitar players might have going to the stick and so on?
Yeah. Marty, that is an excellent question. Thank you very much for asking. Anybody else? Who's next? No, it's that's an interesting one because this is the stick is my first real melodic instrument that I've ever tried to play, with the exception of like one semester of piano lab that I took in college 23 years ago. Um, the one thing that it gave me is that yes, I do have a fairly solid time base. So when I do tap my foot while I'm trying to play, it's a big stabilizer. It really is. Um, but so much of this is so new in terms of trying to play individual fingers that I really got to watch it. I've become in some sometimes when I practice, I realize I've become the one thing I always hated, and that was a guitarist who sped up. uh, so if nothing else, it makes me a little more conscious of it. I really catch it when it's happening, and because I'm very used to playing with click tracks, drum machines, metronomes, that kind of thing. When I practice along with a metronome, it's fairly it's fairly easy for me to do. When it comes to trying to play two-handed parts that I'm trying to work on some two-handed coordination stuff. That aspect of it doesn't take me very long. What takes me long is trying to hit the sweet spot consistently.
Cool. Cool.
Right.
Be able to play just the notes cleanly. Yeah.
I think Mr. Pescarella's got a question ready now. Dean?
Yes, I do. Hello to both of you, first of all. And forgive me if this has been discussed already, but I was just wondering, Luke, when I met you, I believe at the last time I saw you was the Connecticut Stick Seminar.
Yeah.
And you were doing this really nice version of Here, There, and Everywhere by the Beatles. And being a Beatles fanatic, I loved it. Anything else you're working on lately? Anything new?
I've got one piece. I don't know if you can call it classical because it was around 1912, but Eric Satie's Gymnopédie No. 1.
Nice.
I've been working on that one for a while, and it's this close. It is so close to being ready to record in video. I keep telling myself I'm only about a week or 2 weeks away, and here I am a month later. But I'm actually going to be playing it at Christmas with my mother as a duet. This will be the first duet I ever do with my mom ever, and she's going to be playing it on piano while I play stick. And,
wow.
Yeah. And I've been working on Silent Night ever since last year, and I really bungled it in front of the family last year. But this year I've got it very, I'm comfortable with it, so I'm pretty sure I'm not going to embarrass myself on it. And
Great.
yeah, and there are some other things in the fire right now that just have to wait for me to get this one tune done, and then I can move on to the next one. Yeah.
Great.
Somebody's trying to rob your place while you're on a video call. Satie is actually a brilliant, obviously he was brilliant, but he was also so unique in the sense that instead of, I forget what the name of the musical term is, where it gives you the indication of what the attitude should be. It would say play fervently or play something like that. Well, he would post things like wonder about yourself, and all these odd kooky ideas. He was quite eccentric but brilliant. We're just talking about Sippy. I believe that Tim Longfellow has a question for you too.
I was thinking about the first concert, Jen. You were talking about Billy Joel, and I as those of you who are at the event this summer know, I have a little bit of an affinity for Billy Joel music. Actually, I did have an opportunity to see Elton with Billy Joel a couple years ago, which was, just stunning. It was stunning. Question I have for you is, as you are kind of preparing, for this Styx arrival, how do you feel about the trying to, when my first stick arrived, I'll preface this. When my first stick arrived, I was approaching it as a piano player, okay, and I absolutely had no idea. I had Emmett's book. It was an old Ironwood number 969, and that became. My computer is ringing. Anyhow, that's very distracting. It became kind of. I found that I ended up like not using the book at first. I ended up just doing things that I did as a piano player. So just finger patterns and things like that. And I'm wondering, do you have any other instrument experience, and how are you going to take that into your practice here?
Well, I played the
clarinet. Did you not?
I played the clarinet, yes.
Okay.
But it's been a long time. It's been a long time, like 10 years now. Like
a lady doesn't tell.
Right. That's a good question. I don't know. I really music.
I'm gonna go quiet here for a minute.
It's not us, is it?
I don't think so.
No, okay. All right. Excellent. I think that the way I envision starting out is having Luke help out with where the notes, what the notes are. I know they're a lot different than just regular music, reading music. So I kind of feel like I'm going to have to map things out. I'm going to have to map things out and play, just really repetitive kind of thing. I never really thought that, there are certain things I play on the piano that I can kind of play in the air now. Like I never thought that maybe I could also play that on the stick, just find out where those notes are, but my fingers might automatically go in the same kind of pattern.
Mm-hmm. So. Cool. So you both sing, don't you?
No, I don't. You don't want to hear me sing.
I've done backup singing in just about all of my drumming career, and occasionally the odd lead here or there, just like as more of a novelty thing. But yeah, a little bit.
You have such a rich baritone. It is baritone that you have, isn't it?
It's in sort of a strange place. It's sometimes a low.
Like baritone under the couch?
I'm sorry, what?
Baritone under the couch?
It's sometimes I'm certainly not a basso profundo by any means, but there are some parts in bass I can handle comfortably, and there are some baritone parts I can handle comfortably. So I guess it all depends on how my voice is feeling at the moment,
Okay. So how long have you been playing, Luke?
Playing stick since I got the first one in March of 2012. So we're over 2.5 years at this point.
Cool. And how has how have you delved into composition?
A little bit here and there. There have been a couple of things lately, actually, that have kind of hit me out of the blue. And so I've gotten just some really brief skeleton sketches that I've put into recording software. So those are there and waiting for me to be able to learn how to actually play them, as opposed to recording the individual parts, melody and bass side separately. So that's Dean. You mentioned what else do I have on the in the works, and those two things that I've come up with are ones that I really want to get cranking on.
Very, very cool. So we're going to need to know when you get your stick, Jen. I think the family portrait would be in order.
Yes.
Yeah, the day that thing shows up, there's going to be an awful lot of shutter flashes going off. So everybody's going to get a good gander. I'll post the slideshow on Stickist, and we'll go from there.
You should do it like American Gothic. Stand in front of the house with the two sticks.
That's a brilliant idea. I think now you have to. Now you have to get some overalls on. Get some wheat, little wheat. I didn't say weed. I said wheat.
Take a punt.
Okay. Okay, Tony Rodriguez. Tony, I'm wondering if you have a comment or query for these the Bergeron stick Bergerons.
Yeah, you know, what you said before, I think about a lot. And that is the comment that you said that every stick player has their own path. Can you elaborate a little more on this? Because I think about this all the time.
Yeah, well, and not that I know a whole lot about stick and its history and everything about it, just because I'm still a relative, I'm very much a relative newcomer to it. But from seeing what everybody has done with it, you look at all of the different players like Greg and like Bob and like Steve and all of the guys that are putting out all of this fantastic music, and yourself. I mean, everybody's got their own character on the instrument. Everybody has their own touch on it. Tony, I love your touch on the instrument. It's just really smooth. It flows beautifully, and it's really it's a joy to watch and to listen to. And it's a kind of an instrument that, from what Emmett has said, designed with flexibility and improvisation in mind. It's designed to be very much a blank canvas. And, you watch everybody play the instrument, and everybody is so unique on it that you can't help but realize that with all of these different approaches, everybody has to get to those approaches somehow, and you can't get to it the same way. So everybody's got their, my way of tackling the instrument is going to be different than Jen's, and if you look at Greg's approach, for example, very much into the mechanics of it. I don't say this negatively. He's got a very intellectual approach to it, very analytical, and he likes to see how things tick as far as what your body does while you're playing the instrument. And on the other hand, Steve Adelson, another equally gifted player, has an approach that's more like, don't think about it. It's natural. Does it feel good? Do it. And so both are equally valid and wonderful approaches, and I like getting a little something from each of them. Greg's teaching speaks to me because I'm that kind of guy. I like to see how things work. I don't love taking things apart because I break things more often than I should. But just in terms of like, for example, the whole arm motion thing, that immediately spoke to me because that's the sort of technique I adapted as a drummer through adapting Steve Smith's technique. And because it makes so much sense to me on that level, of course I gravitated to it, right away. But that's right for me, but it's not necessarily right for you or for anybody else. So the stick is so conducive to being able to do so many different things, whatever you want to do with it. Then it's just natural that everybody can can approach the instrument with their own gut, with their own gut instinct.
Excellent. I have to get to a sound check before I get fired. So I just wanted to ask you one more question, and then I'm going to hand it over to Rob. Because you both, to a degree, Jen with piano and of course Luke with drums, have experienced music in a fairly percussive manner. I'm just wondering, when you are exploring, composition, do you find that rhythm is the first thing that you gravitate towards?
Very, very good question.
It's my job.
In my case, it will either come to me either as a chord change or a cadence, or a melody will pop into my head. And at this point, having played in a wedding band for 9 years, close to 10 years, my desire to approach things from drums kind of got killed. Just because I was doing something that was not original and creative for a long time. Playing in a wedding band, my level of creativity was restricted to, okay, how am I going to work this sample into the tune? Or, it became very intellectual and not very spiritual or emotional at all. And so, really, when I think about, like these last couple of tunes that have popped in my head, the drums or percussion are the last thing that comes to me now. And it's the other stuff. And I suppose what's changed for me over the last few years is that my view on the music has become a lot more global, in terms of the instrument, rather than just, coming up with a drum pattern and saying, okay, well, I got to write something on top of this,
Excellent. And Jen, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, mine is TBD. I will, I'm not really sure what it's gonna be, but check back in a couple months. I will sign up for the stick forum, and so I can add my pictures in and stuff like that when I get it. But I don't know. I've never, like I said, made an investment like this and not really tried it out. I'm just kind of going with, what I think it's going to feel like and what it's going to play like. So I'm not really sure.
Well, you've had the advantage over most people who actually do that leap of faith and buy an instrument, buy the stick, before they've had an opportunity to even lay their hands on one. You got to go to a world-class stick seminar with world-class teachers and players, and so I think you're off to a very, very strong start. Aside from the American Gothic, I would request that once you guys get your chops together, I would request Kate Bush, Peter Gabriel, a la Don't Give Up kind of a music video. I think that would be really great. So if you can get on that, pretty quick. I just wanted to say, sorry for needing to leave the session a bit early. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So the sticks might get in the way a bit, but, whatever. Doing Alfonso Johnson. That'd be like a matched reciprocal of Alfonso Johnson. You see that picture where he had the stick on his girlfriend's back while he was hugging her? That is so rock and roll. Anyways, I'm sorry for having to leave the session early, but Merry Christmas, season's greetings to all of you, and pass it over to Rob.
Thank you, Dale.
Thanks, Dale.
Thanks for being with us, Dale.
Beg your pardon?
I was thanking Dale before she left. I think maybe we had a latency thing. She was already gone. So I have one more question, and of course we're free for other questions before we wrap this up. It's been an interesting ride, and I'm glad we all finally made it. I wanted to ask, I know in my own personal massive discussion of equipment on Stickist, Luke, you posted about getting a mixer at some point down the line for a family kind of band thing. Is that going to start as a duet between the two of you?
We've talked about 3 or 4 different permutations, because the original thought was a duet, but then Jen has a couple of younger cousins who have moved up recently from Texas, and he's a drummer and singer and keyboard player, and his fiance is a singer. And so, we've had them over for dinner a bunch, and then they started thinking, geez, we ought to be a band. And so we're going to be happy whatever permutation it decides to take. We may have enough material eventually where we can just go off as a duo, but I kind of like the idea of rocking out with a quartet too. And so we're open for whatever. We just want to have fun with it.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed this earlier, but Jen, what tuning is your stick going to be in?
Classic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, does anyone else have any questions, or should we wrap this up? Feel free to chime in.
When are you guys coming to New York?
Good question.
Very good question. Well, I actually have a niece that lives in Manhattan, and she's been trying to get us back down to visit her again for a little while, and so we can start thinking about it a little more seriously once the holidays are over and plan our year out.
Do you play out, Tony?
Yeah. That's why I was asking if you guys come by or something.
Yeah. We'd love to find out when you're playing sometime and come down.
Yeah, and I see. Hey, Dean, are you still with us, or are you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. Now, are you in? You're in Long Island, or are you in New York itself?
Yeah, Long Island. Yeah.
Okay.
Long Island.
Long Island. So what we'll have to do is probably make it either like a long weekend or a week, and see if we can catch both you guys at some point. Because if we're going to be in the area, we might as well make the most of it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, my work hours are crazy. I work a lot of nights, but if I know you guys are coming and I know Tony's playing, I can get a little sick that night and come down to see you.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for the invite.
So Andy, are you going to go to the stick seminar this year?
In LA or in Interlaken?
Interlaken. Is there one in
I'm thinking about it. I mean, it wouldn't be that far of a drive because I'd only have to drive to Wisconsin because Eric Knapp said he'd drive the rest of the way. So I don't know. I might. I'm thinking about it, but we'll see. It depends on what kind of work I have to do this coming summer. So hopefully.
Cool.
Yeah. One of the things that we didn't get to talk about is another one of Jen's inspirations for getting into this whole crazy community here is that on the last day when it was time for everybody to leave Free Hands Academy, there were a couple of people that were heading over to Stick Enterprises, and Andy among them, because he needed to go pick up a set of strings. And Andy and Jen are both laughing because they're sharing a fond memory of Andy's particular condition that morning. But we ended up offering him a ride because the other car, I think it was Steve and it was Bob.
Steve and Bob.
And
I thought, let's go to Stick Enterprises. That's cool. I want to check out the factory.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was in this house. I thought it was bigger than.
Yeah. So we got there and we walked in the house, and of course you had greeted us and invited us in. And we all ended up, let me see, there was us, there was Andy, there was Bob, there was Steve, and was that it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and Emmett made us his triple citrus drink, and we sat around for 45 minutes just hanging and talking. And it was incredible. It was so sweet. Emmett and Yuta are just incredibly generous people. They're very sweet. You feel like a part of the family very, very quickly. And at one point, I turn around, I'm wondering where my wife is, and all of a sudden I hear, "Hey, look!" And I look around the corner, and Jen's like, "Come with me! I'm getting a tour. Come with me!" So I find Yuta practically taking Jen by the hand over to the work area. So I tag along, and I got to see the shop and the stack of all the blanks and everything like that, and it's kind of like one of those religious experiences, and we were like, well, this is great. Okay, great. Well, I guess we'll go back to we'll go check into our hotel. And Una said, you're coming to dinner with us, right? Like, what? You're inviting us to dinner? Oh, yeah, you must come. You're coming to dinner. Okay. So so we ended up getting out to the restaurant, and then the entire faculty's there. So many great players were there. Diana Lang was there, and we ended up sharing a table.
Tony Levin was there.
Yep, Tony Levin was there. We got a chance to share a table with Steve and with Don Schiff and his wife.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was almost surreal in how cool it all was. And the concert the night before, plus that entire hang, Jen just kind of said, "Oh my God, this is just." It was incredible.
A lot more than I expected it to be.
That's great.
Well, we're all very glad. Yeah, can you tell I didn't have coffee? I'm really running out here. What was I actually going to say when I started that sentence? Let us think. Oh yes, in fact, I should be getting my stick in February, so theoretically we'll be getting our stick somewhere around the same time, right?
Nice.
Excellent,
And what
excellent.
are you getting for a stick?
I'm getting a black railboard, not unlike Luke's, but mine will have aquamarine glow inlays because I had to go a little bit extra.
Yeah. Now, how's that being done? Is there going to be some epoxy that's being put into the inlay that's going to glow? Is that it?
Yeah, from what I understand, it's an epoxy coating.
Nice, nice.
I'm sure it's adding some time, but no rush.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully, you don't end up going through the hell that I ended up going through when I got mine. It, it's it's one of the things that I'm very willing to be very publicly educated on the Stickers forum. And so when the whole thing went down with the pickup damage and everything, I'm like, oh God, okay, everybody here, don't do what I just did. uh,
Well, if nobody has any other questions, I really genuinely need to get out of here and eat. So, any more questions?
No. Good on this end. Nice to see everybody.
Yeah.
Same here.
Sure, Tim. Guys, thank you very, very much. It's been
Good
awesome.
job, Rob. Good job
Yeah,
getting this
yeah.
all.
Thank
See you
for
later.
Hey.
Well, I will now wrap the call. Thanks everybody for joining us for Free Hands Friday episode number 38. Next week will be. I honestly don't remember. Is it? It's okay. We had Josh. Have we had John Tyler Kent?
No, I think that might be his name.
He
I
might
think he's next week. Yeah,
Yeah,
JT
yeah. Okay, so John Tyler Kent will join us next week for episode 39. Nobody remembers that middle part, right? It was just completely smooth. Anyway, we will now wrap the show. Feel free to hang out if you've got time.